Hi, Steph, and welcome to this edition of the Western Hemisphere Table Talk. This is the first episode for 2024, and I'm just so happy to be doing this episode with you, our original chair.
Thank you, Abby. It's really good to be with you. And I'm so excited always to talk about Girl Guiding and Girl Scouting. So I'm delighted.
Okay, great. So, I know that you've been involved in Girl Scouting for many, many years now. So we'll just start off the interview by you giving us a brief history on your guiding journey. How did Stephanie become Stephanie the Girl Scout?
Uh, well, I began in Girl Scouts when I was in kindergarten in the United States. That was the earliest age level that one could begin to participate. So I was 5 years old. And my mom had been a Girl Scout herself for some time. And I think it was on her mind as an activity she wanted to introduce me to. And I stayed involved as a girl member of Girl Scouting all the way through the end of my high school years and had such an impactful experience. I chose to go to an undergraduate institution that was a women's college, largely because of my incredible experiences within Girl Scouting, being around female mentors and seeing the energy and power that we have together. And when I was 18, I started working at Girl Scout Summer Camp as a paid staff member. And I had the opportunity several years after that to begin directing Girl Scout summer camps. And I think that camp is one of the very best things about Girl Scouting. I love the outdoors and think that I had so many experiences I wouldn't have had it not been for Girl Scout camp. I learned to kayak and canoe and sail and light a fire and to rock climb. And it was a dream for me to be part of the next generation of camp leaders supporting girls in outdoor spaces. And then in my most recent Girl Scouts life, I served as a full-time year-round Girl Scout Council staff member and served as the Senior Director of Programming with one of our states. And currently, I am in a national volunteer role, supporting work with our international travel for Girl Scouts USA, in addition to the highest awards that girls can earn in the organization, in addition to some other side projects. But those are the main ways that I have been involved in, the main way that I continue to participate nationally.
I have been smiling since you began speaking, and you mentioned that you started from kindergarten because it shows that you've mostly been involved in Girl Scouting all of your life, and that is so amazing. That is really inspirational because you've remained so vibrant in the movement. I
Mm.
remember some time ago, I heard of you creating something so awesome, the Juliets. So I would just like for you to share with our region your experience and what role you played in the creation of the Juliets. Let us know what the Juliets are.
Sure, sure. Well, the founder of Girl Scouts USA, is, as many folks might know, is Juliet Gordon Lowe. And she was inspired by the Baden-Powells to bring the movement to the United States. So that is a really important figurehead for our organization. And the term Juliets is in honor of her work as a trailblazer. The Juliets as a program was a designation that I created for girls who were active individually within Girl Scouting, but not necessarily part of a troop or unit. Maybe they lived too far away from a troop or unit. Maybe they had different interests than a local troop or unit that they wanted to pursue. Maybe for other reasons, working independently was a really good fit for that girl. So although individually registered girls had existed previously in the Girl Scouts USA movement, there wasn't a unified approach to supporting those Girl Scouts. And there wasn't even a unified name. There were some pretty discouraging titles, such as Troop Zero or other terms that did not necessarily create a feeling of sisterhood. And in Girl Scouts USA, when you are part of a troop, you have numerals on your uniform. When you leave a troop, you do have to remove those numerals. So there is an open spot on the uniform, whether that's a vest or a sash, that just has a gaping blank in it. So I created a patch, a purple patch with white lettering for the Juliets. And I worked very closely with the National Girl Scouts USA office to approve the project, to begin manufacturing these patches and badges. And I am really delighted that it is still an active program in many Girl Scout councils. I just met someone in July of this year who was a girl member of the Juliets. She had the badge on her uniform, and she and I and her mom were talking about what it meant that she was able to participate in Girl Scouting in that way and still feel included. We ended the conversation in tears, and it was really, really significant for me. Maybe the most important element, I suppose, to mention is that when I created this program, I was a girl member myself. It was my Girl Scout Silver Award project, which is the second highest award in Girl Scouting USA. And I was only 12 when I created this program in terms of its first idea, maybe 14 by the time the Juliets had launched. So I feel glad that that is a small mark on the movement that I've been lucky enough to make.
Wow, so inspiring. I knew you had some big role to play in the creation of the Juliets, but I never realized you were so young to take on that venture, and it's been in existence for so many years after. That is so amazing.
Thanks.
Piggybacking on something that you said earlier, you mentioned that you're a national volunteer and you help out with the international travel and those type of stuff. I would like to know of your experiences on international guiding adventures.
Oh, sure. I first began my journey in global Girl Scouting when I was 19 years old. I was selected as Girl Scout USA's participant for the Helen Starrow seminar held annually at our chalet. And that is a leadership program for young women ages 18 to 30. And at that time, I was one of the youngest participants in attendance. I had an incredible week-long event with Girl Guides and Girl Scouts from across the world. And although I had known that our movement was global, it was my first experience really witnessing that in action and seeing so many different uniforms from all across the globe, seeing the traditions that we shared, even in our promise and law and our approach to activities, even if there were some other differences. That was a really rich experience for me. And I remembered it. It really stayed with me. When I had finished my undergraduate degree, I decided that I wanted to volunteer at our chalet. It was a few years after I had graduated, actually. I think I was 25. And I had not studied abroad when I was in my undergraduate program, and decided that this Girl Scout travel experience and volunteer work would be a really meaningful fit for me. And I was selected to join the Our Chalet volunteer team in spring 2012. And that really was the next phase of my involvement in WAGs. Right at that time, after completing my volunteer service, I became a global lead facilitator with the Stop the Violence program, and then had a number of other opportunities that came from that. So I would say that I've been on the WAGs global scene for about a dozen years, and I really do associate my journey so deeply with that experience that I first had at our chalet. I think that our world centers are one of the most incredible gifts that are available for members of WAGs. So I really hope that folks get a chance to go to a world center that they might be dreaming of in the future. It really is life-changing.
Wow. This really shows that everything in Girl Guiding, everything in the movement is really much connected to your life experiences, because just that moment has shaped the last 12 years of your life, and you've gotten so many opportunities from just volunteering that one time for your first time. That is amazing. That leads me to ask you about your interest in being on the regional committee, because I first met you in 2019 at the regional conference in Grenada, where you were a candidate for your first term on the committee. So I know that you've had a lot of international experiences from what you just mentioned, but what led you to be interested in the governance aspect of Girl Guiding?
Mm. I think that I was drawn to the opportunity after attending a Western Hemisphere regional volunteer activation event held at Nuestra in 2018. I had been involved globally since 2012, but I actually had not had a strong sense of our region, the Western Hemisphere region. So that volunteer activation event was my first time really connecting with others from the Western Hemisphere. And I had the opportunity to take on a volunteer role related to our Caribbean Champions for Change initiative, and started working closely with others in the region to drive toward that work in 2019. And I think that after hearing about the regional committee opportunity at that event, my interest was piqued, and I was really curious. At that time, I had already served as full-time year-round Girl Scout Council staff in the United States for about 4 years. And I think that my background as a staff professional in the movement, combined with my passion as a volunteer and other experiences that I had had a chance to pursue, really gave me a unique outlook on the opportunity of serving on the Western Hemisphere Regional Committee. I did talk to a number of other folks who really gave me great information, great insight about the role. And then I did end up being put forward as Girl Scout USA's 2019 candidate for the Western Hemisphere Regional Committee. Was really grateful to be elected. I remember being incredibly nervous, and it was a process really to do campaigning, and then in 2022, I knew I wanted to continue to serve. I didn't feel like I was done volunteering for the region. And this triennium, I was elected as the regional chair, thanks to the other 5 incredible members of the regional committee who put their trust in me to lead us forward this triennium.
That seems like a really great transition. It was just a little dream, and now you're the regional chair. But with all of that being said, what actually pushed you or inspired you to be the regional chair? Because I know there's an election,
Mhm.
but you volunteered to be one of the candidates on the board for the regional chair. What inspired you?
Yeah, I think that my first triennium on the regional committee, I quickly realized that our work was more valuable when we worked in collaboration with others. It was more informed. It grew to be something that not a single one of us on a team could have created alone. And I remember thinking that I had some skills that I thought would help our team continue to aim high and be organized in our pursuit of new objectives. So I think that that was a major indicator. I have enjoyed being in some leadership positions with other organizations. And then something that actually was meaningful for me as well is that a few different people spoke to me individually and said, I hope that you consider putting yourself forward for chair. And that was really something that boosted my confidence in putting myself forward as a candidate. And I think that now, just about a year and a half into the regional chair role, it is really an honor to be in this role. It is also a lot of work to be in this role. And as you know, the regional chair sits on the WAGS World Board as one of 17 trustees. That's a lot of responsibility in guiding our movement forward fiscally and strategically. And it's also a role that I'm really happy to play. I think that my perspective as a regional chair really allows me to bring a lot of knowledge to that role. And I think that I constantly am thinking about our member organizations. What is their experience like in the movement? What could we do to support member organizations better? And where is our movement going in the future?
I honestly must confess to our region that you as a regional chair has been amazing. You've been doing a great job thus far, and you continue to put our member organization first in everything that we do, everything that we plan. You continue to be mindful of our membership of our region, trying to make the best out of our region. So I say to you in front of everyone listening, thank you for doing such an amazing job.
Oh, Abby, thank you.
We are almost 2 years into this triennium, and I would just like for you to recap on your achievements so far as the regional chair.
Sure. Well, first, I have to say that none of the achievements are mine alone, and it's absolutely a a partnership, not just with the other 5 incredible women on the regional committee, but others as well. We have over 40 regional volunteers throughout the Western Hemisphere who are active on regional project teams, giving so much time and so much talent to move initiatives forward. And I'm really so grateful for that. And just since July of 2022, when the current 6 members of the regional committee took office, began their terms in July 2022, through December of 2023, the 6 of us have donated over 4,500 volunteer hours to WAGs, which has an equivalent value to $137,313 US, based on a nonprofit sector volunteer rate of $29.95 an hour. And that is such a sizable contribution from the regional committee team, and I'm so proud of that. And of course, that does not include the time and work for our other 40 regional volunteers across the Western Hemisphere. But we did have an exciting 2023 with a lot of different activities, and I encourage folks to take a look at just a few of those highlights in our December 2023 regional newsletter, which provides a great recap of some of those big pieces of work.
Great, that sounds amazing. I feel like the newsletter keeps our region informed. And as you mentioned, it's not just you, it's the entire committee. And I take the opportunity to thank the other committee members as well for doing such an amazing job in the region and working together with our volunteers, original volunteers, and also the membership of our MOs. The collaborations do not go unseen.
Absolutely. Yeah. And
Lastly,
I was just going to say that folks may know this about you, Abby, but you are also the person behind the regional newsletter, and we're so grateful for that. It was a big piece of work, and really grateful that you're able to help lead us in keeping the member organizations informed and up to date.
thank you very much, Steph. As you mentioned, we had a very interesting 2023, and I'm sure that 2024 will be just as interesting, if not more interesting. So I think now we could lead into our regional action plan for 2024. And you could maybe briefly share with us some of the key points from our regional action plan.
Sure, sure. So for our work going forward, we are going to be very focused on our strategic priorities. We're going to be really focused on supporting governance and operations within our Western Hemisphere member organizations. And we're also looking to continue to provide customized, tailored support based on a member organization's needs or areas for potential growth. And I can highlight a few things that we have coming up just in the first few months of 2024. We will have our member organizations completing the WAG census by the 15th of February, which will give us a really important sense of how our membership numbers have continued to recover since COVID. We have 2 active programming volunteer teams in the region, one related to STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. Another is our Pen Pal team. Both will be launching their projects in the first few months of 2024. And then we'll have our annual International Commissioners Gathering on the 2nd of March for Western Hemisphere MOs. Some other things that our regional committee members will be doing. In early February, I will be heading to Nuestra along with our World Board Chair, Candela Gonzalez, to attend the Friends of Nuestra annual meeting for the first time back since 2019 at Nuestra So that will be really special and important. We have our Vice Chair, Emika Dario, traveling to Panama to visit with the member organization. We also have you, Abby, traveling to St. Vincent and the Grenadines to an international camp. that will see a lot of Caribbean member organizations. And then in April, we'll be supporting several constitutional workshops with some member organizations that have been in the process of constitutional reviews. Those are just some of the exciting pieces that we'll be looking at the start of for this year. And we'll also begin preparing for our 2025 regional conference. It's really just around the corner suddenly. So that work will begin very shortly as well. We will also be hosting consultations with our member organizations on the proposed membership fee model so that they are able to enter the extraordinary general meeting in Q3 of 2024, feeling really aware of the different elements of the proposal and being informed about what could look like our membership fee structure going forward. And then I think something else that I want to highlight, which is a entirely volunteer-led initiative. In November of 2024, we will have the Latin American Gathering in our region, and that is being organized by a team of volunteers. It's the only Spanish-led, Spanish-only leadership event for WAGs, and we know it's going to include a great program and a lot of really engaging updates. So if you are from a Spanish-speaking member organization and that sounds interesting, please check out our social media for a link to learn more about that particular event. And if you'd like to see a more complete look for our 2024 activities, you can see our full action plan again in our December 2023 regional newsletter.
Thank you so much for sharing these highlights. I'm sure all of these activities will be very inspiring and very interesting, especially the last one you mentioned, the Latin American Gathering, it being something that is completely volunteer-led. I'm looking forward to it, to seeing and hearing about it because it seems very interesting. And I know the last one was very interesting as well.
Mm.
I think right now, the best thing we could do to close off this episode of the Table Talk is for you, after sharing such an amazing journey, such an inspirational journey, to give some advice to the young women and girls that may be looking at this episode and thinking to themselves, one day they would like to have such a vast journey in Girl Guiding or Girl Scouting.
Mm. Sure. Wow, I think that I would encourage young women, especially those 18 to 30, and even girls under age 18, if you're interested in our global movement, take that first step to learn more. Maybe you can make a connection with a pen pal in another country through our Western Hemisphere pen pal project that will be launching later this year. Maybe you can attend an international virtual event. Maybe you have the opportunity to apply for one of the World Board committees sometime in the future, or even one of our regional committees. I think that taking that first step, I can imagine for some might feel a little overwhelming because how do you know if you're ready? How do you know if you have enough knowledge? And for women especially, I think that we tend to have a really powerful experience with imposter syndrome, thinking that we are maybe not good enough, not prepared enough, not worthy. And what I want to say is that you are ready now. You are valuable now. You are worthy now. And connect with others in your life to help you identify what those strengths are, what those skills are, and what you could bring to the table. Because one of the reasons our regional committee has been so successful with many different initiatives and activities is because of the breadth of skills. We have a number of different generations represented, and it's really wonderful when we're able to collaborate and bring those different insights together. And if you'd ever like to talk with a member of the Western Hemisphere Regional Committee to learn a little bit more about their role, their work, what's exciting, what might be a little bit challenging, please do feel free to reach out. Very soon, we'll be looking for candidates to be put forward for the 2025 to 2028 Regional Committee. And we would love for you to consider serving the movement in that way. So again, just know that you can seize the opportunity now, even if you're not totally sure that you're ready. We want you to be involved.
Wow, that was amazing. And it's so weird how time has come upon us so quickly. On a complete side note, you mentioned young women seizing the opportunity and being strong enough to know that they're ready now. I know that the region's signature pose is the pose of strength. Do you
Yeah.
care to elaborate a little bit more as we wrap up to let them know, the region know why this is our signature pose?
Sure, yes. If you've been staying tuned to our regional social media over the past few years, you probably saw some screenshots of a video call where people were making this movement with their arms, a bicep, a symbol of strength. And I believe that that came out of the unexpected approach that we had to take in 2020 when the global pandemic started. I think that we had to pivot, we had to be flexible, we had to come up with entirely new plans and also be responsive to entirely new issues that we hadn't necessarily predicted would arise. And I think that someone put that emoji into one of our group chats, and then suddenly it became really visible anytime that we were having a call or a conversation. And I really do find that fitting, because within Girl Guiding and Girl Scouting, we are always demonstrating those qualities: flexibility, resilience, a readiness to step up and take charge and to make a difference. So I encourage everyone to put a little bicep emoji in the comments if you'd like to this video, and tell us where you're from, where are you watching from, and know that we can't wait for you to have your power join our team as well.
Thank you so much, Steph, for sharing with us, not just this last part, but your entire interview. Thank you for sharing your guiding, your scouting journey with us. This has been an amazing episode. So, to our viewers, once again, thank you for viewing our Western Hemisphere Table Talk. Thank you for staying in tune with our content. I have been your host today, Abigail Christmas, the regional committee member responsible for communication. And our guest today, our special interviewee, has been Stefanie Argus, our regional chair.
Thank you,
Bye,
Abigail. Thank you,
everyone.
everyone.